Here we go.
This is Skip One-on-One, brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. I have long made the case that Eric Dickerson was the greatest running back ever. I mean, ever. And I do realize that 9 running backs have more career yards than he does, starting with the great Emmitt Smith. I get it. But none of those 9 had Eric Dickerson's combination of size and speed and power and will and make you miss. None of those 9, to me, I tested more spectacularly than number 29 did. And as you probably know, he still holds the single season all-time rushing record of 2,105 yards. That was an astonishing 5.6 yards a carry in 1984. He was the fastest ever to 10,000 yards in the NFL. I covered his SMU teams in Dallas when he broke Earl Campbell's all-time Southwest Conference rushing record. And I was unfortunately there that day in Anaheim, California, when Eric Dickerson ran for 248 playoff yards. That still stands as the all-time playoff single-game record against my Dallas Cowboys. He despises my Cowboys, but I've never completely condemned him for that, because Eric Dickerson will carry the load off the field also, because he will speak his mind. And I'm hoping he's about to speak his mind right here for us. Welcome, Eric Dickerson.
What's up, Skip? Thank you for having me, man. Wow. It seemed like a whole life ago when I did that.
I know, it does, but I think you're just getting started. So speaking of getting started, you obviously grew up in Sealy, Texas, which is a pretty small town about 50 miles west of Houston, right?
Yeah, west of Houston, right.
Yeah, and I've often wondered, when a young man is so spectacularly talented, at what age did it suddenly hit you that, hey, I'm really good at this? Well, like when did you say, I can do this the way nobody else around me can do this?
You know, Skip, that's a great question, but I really don't think it ever really hit me until probably maybe my senior year in college.
Really? Well, that's deep into it.
Yeah, when I was young, I mean, you know, it was a lot of kids that were like me, big and fast, but not quite my speed. And you know, we were just having fun. You know, you didn't think about, one thing is, you didn't think that could happen for you. You know, from a small town, I'm not gonna play no pro football. You know, I won't forget. You know, people said that about me when I was highly recruited. I was the #1 recruit in the nation.
You were.
Eric, yeah, he ain't that good. You hear that, and you hear that coming from people in your small town, you know. And I'm not saying I believed it, because I always wanted more than to be in that small town. But you know, you're like, hey, maybe this is just it for me. And I didn't think that I could, you know, play sports. Let's see, be like a Hall of Famer, or play pro football, or college football, and all that. So I can't say when it really hit me, but I know my senior year is when I said, man, I feel like a man sometimes playing with boys out here with kids. I mean,
well, you were.
I was, yeah. I mean, and, you know, it was like that. I mean, I think about it. I split time in college, and I think it was the best thing that could have happened for me, splitting time with Craig James. But you know, and I always tell Herschel, I said, that's my Heisman Trophy you got. You know, I split time with him, and then I was to carry. I think I had like 214 carries for like 1,600 yards. So, you know, hey, it is what it is. But
well, he had, your senior year, you finished third in the Heisman behind him and Elway. That's a pretty good. That's Herschel, Elway, Eric Dickerson. That's pretty great. But he did have about 100 more carries than you had.
Thank you.
Yeah, there you go.
Think about
that was it. I mean, come on, because you were obviously splitting carries. I don't know if people remember Craig James. Maybe they remember him more from television, but he was really good. He wasn't you, but he was really good. He came out of Stratford High School in Houston, and he was like, was he 6 feet, maybe 220 or something like that?
Craig's 6'1". He's 6'1". Matter of fact, I just talked to him yesterday.
Did you really?
Yeah, I talked to him quite often. Matter of fact, we're doing I'll tell you about it later. We're doing an award called the Pony Express Award, but I'll tell you about it later. Oh,
cool. Okay. But Craig went on, by the way, to make a Pro Bowl for the New England Patriots that year that they went to the Super Bowl and lost to the Bears, obviously.
Right.
So he had his run also. Okay, so in high school, how quickly were you great in high school? When were you that guy?
Well, let me tell you, in high school, I got on varsity my freshman year, and they had me a flanker back, and I was number 88. 80, I think the number was 88. 88 was my number.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, I was just talking about this to a couple other guys, talking about your high school coaches and your high school experience. The reason I played football is because of my seventh grade coach was Aubrey Stissel. I liked him a whole lot. And then my freshman year, a new coach that came in, Ralph Harris, came from East Texas. And make a long story short, it didn't mix. I couldn't stand him. I mean, nobody liked him.
Yeah.
I mean, and I got to say, and I mean, I can say this for sure, because I mean, every guy that knows that played with me, and I'll tell you the quick story. My freshman year, I played on varsity. My sophomore year, he was so tough on all the black players that all of us quit. Every black player quit except one. Winston Brown stayed on the team. And my next year, my junior year, I came back, and I wasn't gonna come back. Matter of fact, I won't forget. And this is one thing when you say what lets you know that you were, had a potential to be a great college player, a pro player. I didn't know, but a guy named James Abernathy came from Brookshire Roy. It was a town 12 miles from me. He came by my house that day. He was a big football, just a big sports fan. And he lived in another city, another town, 12 miles away. He came over, and I saw him pull up, and my mother said, "Oh, that's Shaq." We call him Shaq. That's Shaq outside. Pull up. He said, "Hey, Miss Dickerson." He said, I said, "What's happening, Shaq?" He said, "Miss Dickerson, you mind take Eric and talk to him for a minute?" She said, "Sure, take him and talk to him." Got in the car, rode around. He said, "Man, I heard you quit football." I said, "Yeah, man." I said, "Man, I don't like that white man." I said, "Man, he racist." I said, "Well, he treats us all." Yeah, and so he said, and I won't forget, as an older person, he said, we riding around, he says, "Eric, let me ask, what do you see in this town?" I said, "Man, there was only like 2,000 people, maybe 1,500 then." I say, "Nothing." He said, "Eric, let me tell you something, son." He says, "It's nothing here." He says, "One red light in this town." He said, "You're one of the best athletes who's ever seen in these parts." Now, keep in mind, Skip, I'm a sophomore, going to be a junior. He said, "You're one of the best athletes we've ever seen in these parts, Eric." He said, "I'm telling you, go back and play football. That may be your way out of here." He says, "If you don't want to go play for Sealy, come play for Brookshire." I'm like, "All right, I'll think about it." He was telling me that. I'm like, "Really?" I'm like, "Me?" So when I go back home, I told Mom, he said, "What did he say to you?" And I told exactly what he said. He said, "Eric, I'm going to tell you something. My mother said, I don't like football. I don't like that sport. It'll cause you problems later. But I don't like you quitting. But if you want to go to Brookshire, I'll take you over and let you play in Brookshire." So fast forward a couple of days later, my best friend called me, Gary Hill. He said, "Hey, man, is Rap in your house?" I said, "No." He said, "He's on his way." I'm like, "What? He want to try to get us all to come back and play football."
Yeah.
So sure enough, he shows up at my house, and my mother was she was very outspoken.
Okay.
She said, "Listen to what he had to say." She said, I'm gonna tell you something." She said, "I hear how you treat the black players." She said, "And it's just wrong." She said, "Nobody wants to play for you." And he kind of, "Well, Miss Dickerson, I'm gonna try to do better. I'm from East Texas. Get out of excuse, blah blah blah." So we all got together. All of us got together. We went decided to go back and play. We went back and played for him. Did I like him? No. I think we went like 9-2 or something like that year. And we didn't get to playoffs. You had to win the district back in those days. So my senior year, I go back again. Didn't care for him, and he and I kind of got into it after the season. We won a state championship that year, and he wanted me to go to the University of Texas. That was his deal. He wanted me to go to UT. I didn't know it till later. Later I found out he wanted to try to get a job at UT if I went to UT. And I told him, "I like University of Texas, but I'm not sure if I want to go there." And he said, "You know what? I'm just going to tell these schools you're not interested in going to college." And me and him got into it. I said, "Man, I don't need you." I said, "If they want me, they'll come to my house and get me." I said, "I do not need you for anything."
True.
And so that's how it was. That's how it went. The teams, how college would come to the school and they come to my house and say, "So you in your high school course, I don't get along with him. I don't like him."
Okay. Quick question. Yeah. Okay. The man who came over to talk you into going back to play football, the friend, black or white?
Black.
Okay.
Guy.
And how much older than you?
He was probably in his 30s. I was 18.
Okay, I got it.
He was like 33, something like that. Yeah.
Because that's a turning point. Where
it was.
What if you just said, "Oh, heck with football. I'm not going to do it anymore." I don't know what would have happened. But
I don't know what would have happened, Skip. That's a great question. But I don't know what would have happened. But who knows? I can say this much here. I'll stop at this story. About 6 years ago, I got a call from a guy that I know. He said, "Eric," I said, "What's going on, Dane?" He said, "Man," I said, "What's up?" He said, "Somebody want to say hi to you." I'm like, "Okay." Gets on the phone. Soon as I heard his voice, I knew it was him. Say, "Hey, Eric." I said, "What's up, Ralph?" My heart started beating fast. It just show you how the effect you can have on a young
Yeah,
man.
I got it.
I said, "What's up, Ralph?" He says, "How's it going?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "What's up, man? What can I do for you?" He says, "I just want to say that, Eric, I saw your career. You had a great career." I said, "Thanks, man." I was short. I said, what's up?" He says, "Eric, I just want to say this here. I just want to apologize the way I treated you guys." He said, "I want to say I'm sorry, and I just want to apologize." I said, "Ralph," I said, "Man, thanks for saying that. I appreciate that."
Okay.
He knew he had treated us badly, but, it is what it is. But, I would say God had a different plan for me. And if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here.
Well, you could make that case. So before you leave that behind, how exactly was he racist? Would he use language? Would he call you names?
He wouldn't call us the N-word. He would curse us all the time. Curse us, and mostly us. Even the white guys say, "Man,
yeah.
he tell y'all like that."
I understand.
Would say it.
I know the type.
It was always us. Anything we did. It was always the black thing. So that's what. But and I can say this much: just being in Sealy, believe it or not, I never heard anyone in my hometown call me the N-word ever. And I'm from a little small town in Texas. That's saying a lot.
I'd say, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yet, was it your senior year? Was 78 your senior year when you won the state championship, right?
Yeah, that was my senior year. Yeah, we won the state championship.
And in that game, you go for 296, right, against Wiley.
Yeah, against Wiley.
296, that's ridiculous, man.
Yeah,
that's man among boys to me, where you're just, they can't get you on the ground, right?
Well, yeah, that was, and the funny thing about that is, Wiley had won a state championship the year before. We had to go. And they wanted us to go up there closer to them to play. But once again, that was a town that had all white people. And they said, "Hey, we can't bring these black families up there." So we met. And we met. I'm telling you, you got to understand, it's the times. We met in Waco. We played in Waco at Bayless Stadium. And I got to tell you, it was funny. And I still laugh about this. They were calling us the N-word on the field. We were laughing at it. I'm like, really?
Was Wiley mostly white kids? The players? All white?
All white. It was all white.
And what was your racial makeup of your team? Did you have some white kids?
Yeah, we had black and white. Matter of fact, I'm looking at our state championship picture across on my desk on the wall over here. We had a mix of black and white. We had almost half and half. It was half and half.
So in 1978, the white kids are just blatantly, openly calling you the N-word on the football field before or during the state championship game.
During the game.
During the game.
During the game. It was, like I say, the funny thing was that we were laughing at it. It was just funny. I'm like, these little white boys is calling us this. And we beat the hell out of them.
You beat the hell out. You beat them 42-20. And again, you ran. Can you remember running for 296?
Oh yeah.
There had to be some cross country runs going on in there.
Oh, I had a screenplay that was a really good run. I had like a 60 or 70 yarder up the middle. I remember something. I had 4 touchdowns. I remember that game very vividly because Barry Switzer was at the game. Coach Miles was at the game.
Okay.
Yeah. A lot of the big coaches together. I remember because my mother said Barry Switzer up there with a big meat coat on. Some kind of fur coat on.
That'd be Switzer, yeah.
Yeah, that was Switzer.
Okay, so then the recruitment starts, and you are the number 1 recruit in the nation, not just as running back. You were just number one. And I often wondered, and I'm glad I'm getting to ask you here, but I thought maybe you'd think about Oklahoma because they had such a great running tradition. And then I never heard you even mention Texas, and you just did. And maybe your coach discouraged you from thinking more strongly about Texas.
No, Skip, I like Texas. I did like Texas. But let me tell you what happened with Texas. Texas came to my house with Fred Akers and 4 other coaches. And I forgot the guy's name. Matter of fact, my friend Harvey Armstrong, because he said the same thing to him too, came to my house. And they knew I liked Oklahoma. And they knew I said, you wasn't even in the picture. I liked Oklahoma, I like USC, and I like Texas. Those are my 3 schools right there. So he came to my house, and I'm listening to Fred Akers, show him, all these sets. I'll be here, AJ Jam will be here, and Ham will be here, blah, blah, blah. And then they talked to my mother and my stepfather. They said, "Hey, one coach said, come to the back." So I went to the back room, and he says, "Hey, let me tell you something, son." He said, "Look like you're not interested in your state school." I said, but I am. I'm interested. He said, well, you like SMU, because I talked to SMU, but I wasn't interested at the time. He said, we know you're looking at SMU. He said, let me tell you something. SMU will never beat us. He said, Oklahoma. He says Barry Swiss is sleeping with all his assistants' wives. I'm like, ain't got nothing to do with that.
Okay.
And then the last thing he says, USC is way in Southern California. That's way out there. And he said, let me tell you something. If you don't consider your state school, when you get out of college, we can make sure you don't get a job in the state of Texas. That's what that man said to me. I'll never forget it. And I told him, really? He said, yeah. I told him, F you, man. I walked back. My mother was sitting there. I said, Mama, my great aunt called Mama. I said, Mama, make them leave. She said, okay, well, nice meeting you, gentlemen. That was what she said. And when they left, she said, what did that white man say to you back there? I said, he told me if I didn't go to my state school, I would never get a job in the state of Texas. She said, oh, hell no, you'll never go there. And from that point on, I was done with the University of Texas.
Okay. Yeah. I hear you, and I second that emotion. When shoppers do choose to buy your products, you can turn them into loyal customers with cheaper, faster, and better shipping. Shipping is obviously the key to the life we live today. You can go to ShipStation.com and use the code SKIP to sign up for your free trial. Go to ShipStation.com right now /skip. That gives you a free shot, a free trial at ShipStation. There's no credit card or contract required. You can cancel anytime. So check it out right here, right now. That's ShipStation.com, code SKIP. Code SKIP. So here's the crazy part of this. So I'm working in Dallas at this point at the Dallas Morning News, and I had become pretty close with your soon-to-be coach, Ron Meyer, who I liked very much. He had a little bit of scoundrel in him, but he was just a good guy, and he was fun. He was just fun to be around, and he could really talk football, and he made me feel like I wanted to play for him. Right. And so on signing day, National Signing Day, he called me from his car as he left, I think, Sealy, because he told me, you won't believe this, but I just signed Eric Dickerson. And I said, wait a second. You already got Craig James. And he said, yeah, I got them both. And I said, that's impossible. You can't have Eric Dickerson and Craig James, because Craig had a big reputation. He was the second best back in Texas. And so nobody even knew really who SMU was at that point. In fact, Craig had told me a story where SMU, he thought it was SMU, like the name of the school was SMU. He didn't even know that it was Southern Methodist University. He mostly went because his girlfriend had gone the year before. I think her name was Marilyn Arp.
Her name is Marilyn. Yeah, they're still married.
Okay.
They're still married.
They're still married to this day. They got a bunch of kids.
Nine grandkids. Just give me a picture of all of them.
Okay. How time flies.
Time flies.
But the point is, what happened? What turned you around to Coach Meyer?
Coach Meyer. I mean, really, I'm gonna tell you something, Skip. SMU really wasn't on my radar, but came to my house. I liked him. I took the trip to Dallas. I liked the school. I liked some of the guys because they were from the Houston area.
They were.
And I heard of like Harvey Armstrong, Stanley Godine, Michael Charles, Michael Carter, in Dallas, Craig James. So we'd all kind of heard of each other. Everybody heard of each other.
Yep.
So my mother liked Coach Meyer. I mean, she didn't really like anybody. She said, she always said, look, these white men, they don't care nothing about you. They just want to come use you. Because she hated football. I'm telling you, she just didn't like it.
Yeah, I understand.
So what happened? I won't forget what happened. Is one day he came to the house. Coach Meyer did. And we sitting there talking. He said, Mr. Dickerson, let me explain something to you. She said, I will make him a good man. She said, I'll make him a good man, and he'll get a good education. And if I ever have a problem with him, I will call you. Yeah, I will never forget. And they talked some more, and she said, Mr. Dickerson, you have anything here to eat? So they go in the kitchen, and my mother started cooking. So he was helping. He put an apron on, started helping her. and that was it, Skip. That was it.
That would do it. Yeah.
She
Once
said,
he put that apron on, it's over. Yep.
she said, that's why I want you to go to school. She said, Eric, she said, look, you're a Texas boy. She said, why the hell you want to go to Oklahoma? She said, you don't need no go to Oklahoma. And I committed to Oklahoma, Skip. You probably know.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I never heard that.
Yeah, I committed to Oklahoma. I committed to them when they came to my house. And when they walked out, I'll never forget, my mother said, you ain't going to school there? I'm like, Mama, but she said, nope, Eric, you ain't going there. That man's a liar, and I don't trust him. I'm like, what, Mama? So I couldn't go. Yeah, I couldn't go. But that's the reason.
But there was also, didn't you commit for a little while, for a minute, to A&M?
A&M, yeah, for a second. I didn't want to go to A&M. I did not want to go to A&M, man. Oh, God, I didn't want to go. Let me tell you what I didn't like. I didn't like their colors. I didn't like they had all them guys, the Yale leaders.
Yep.
But I didn't really want to go there. I mean, that was a quick minute, that I committed to A&M.
Okay. So what was the story about the Trans Am, or as Ron Meyer used to call it, the Trans A&M? That was true, right? You did get the Trans Am from A&M for a little while.
That's true. That's a true story. Matter of fact, what happened with that is that A&M had a big booster. Mr. Clarence Sheardon Seeley had a feed store. And I went over to A&M, and it was cool. I liked some of the guys there, but I didn't want to go to A&M. It was too close to. So they knew I liked this Trans Am. I saw a car in Houston. I said, I like the Trans Am. So what happened is, I won't forget this, like one Friday, my mother, my real mother, and my grandmother in Houston, and my mom, I call Mama Viola. She said, Eric, we're gonna ride down to Houston. Let's look at that car. I'm like, okay. So we rode down to Houston, and they gave me the car, let me drive it around, drove it, and it was my mom, my grandmother, my grandfather. And it was like 3 white men in there, and came out, and she said, okay. They said, okay, it's yours, take it. And I'm like, huh? They said, it's yours, take it. And that was it.
Okay.
And so,
but had you committed to going to school there yet?
I committed to going. It happened so fast. Committed to going to school. It happened so fast. I committed to going to school there. And then what happened is that, man, we had a barbecue. Let's say that next week. Say that next week we got a barbecue. My grandmother from Houston came. My grandfather, my Uncle Sam, Uncle Jack, a lot of my family. We had barbecue. They were sitting outside playing dominoes and stuff. And I would get my grandmother. She came over to me. My mama, and Viola, they took me in the house. They said, Eric, let me ask you a question. She said, do you like your choice of schools? She said, be honest now. I said, no, ma'am, I don't. I don't want to go there. She said, well, you shouldn't have said you're going to go there. She said, well, look, my mama said, look, Eric, why don't you go to Oklahoma? She said, where else would you go? Would you consider going to SMU for that guy, Ron Meyer? I said, Mama, okay, yeah, I'll do that, but I don't want to go to A&M. Won't forget, got on the phone, called Robin Buddicky. He lived in Richmond, Texas, called Robin Buddicky. About 4 hours later, we took a drive over to Richmond. Richmond's only 20 miles from Sealy. Ron Meyer flew into Richmond on a private plane to meet us over there. I'll never forget, my grandfather said it later. He said, I knew something was up when the women went missing. Eric and the women went missing somewhere.
Yep.
So I went over, met with Coach Meyer, met with Robin Buddicky, and that's when I committed to him right there.
Right there.
Yep. And so A&M couldn't say, hey, we bought him a car. And what happened is with the car, my grandmother and my grandfather, he was a crane operator. They got a new car like every couple of years. They loved Cadillacs. So they had bought the car. They had actually paid for the car with a check, paid for the car, paid it off. And A&M gave them the cash back for the car, $14,500. That's what the car cost. And so that's how the car came in.
Okay. So
like I said, my grandmother didn't buy the car. And see, people think my grandmother's lady who raised me. My grandmother lived in Houston. My grandfather lived in Houston, Texas.
Quick thought on FanDuel. Nothing says summer fun like adding excitement to the game while your friends are out getting sunburned on the beach. Summer sports are calling your name. You got baseball under the stadium lights. You got golf, as we saw over the weekend, on pristine green fairways. those at Royal Port Rush. You got soccer matches with world-class goals. You got all the action-packed moments in between. You've got camps opening across the NFL. You could get down an early bet on that Thursday night opener. I got the Cowboys +7 at Eagles. I know you're going to spend all day following your favorite sports on your phone anyway. You might as well make it more thrilling with FanDuel. Open the app today to see the daily promotions. And if you're new to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open that FanDuel app today or visit fanduel.com/SKIP. Just use my first name, SKIP. That's fanduel.com/skip to get started right here, right now. So, Eric, I'm actually embarrassed to ask you this question, given what NIL is out there now, the money that these kids are making, but did money play any part at all with you choosing Coach Meyer and SMU?
Absolutely not.
Not at all.
Tell you, if I'd have wanted money, I'd have went to A&M. I can tell you this much. A&M offers the most money. Matter of fact, they came to my house. I'll never forget, my mother said, when they came, she said, Eric, she said, she brought me to the back. She said, they had a briefcase now with $50,000 in cash, Eric. She said, that's just part of the money they want to pay.
Yeah.
And she said, let me tell you something, son. She said, look, if you don't want to play for that school, don't take these white people's money. She said, don't take these white folks' money. She said, don't do that. And I wouldn't. I mean, I listened to my mother. I said, no, Mama, I don't want to go there. She said, okay. She said, we don't take that money. So, no, if I wanted money, I went to Texas A&M. And I mean, look, I'll tell you exactly what the money we got at SMU. I was getting sometimes $500 a month. You know, sometimes I wouldn't get no real money. It wasn't no money.
That's no real money. I agree.
That ain't no real money.
Yeah.
I mean, no. It wasn't. It was nothing. I mean, I had a car, a little bit of money. You know, if we wanted something, wanted to go out to dinner, they set it up at a restaurant. We had to pay for it, but that was really it.
Yeah.
And so we would get nothing.
Well, what's funny is there are a lot of other players getting more than you were making that cost SMU the death penalty, right? Ultimately, after you were gone.
A lot more. And I think the kicker is that they always seem to blame me and my class, Craig, for that.
That's true.
We didn't have no death penalty. We got no death penalty. We played football. They stuck us 1 year with a crappy ass violation. we couldn't play on television. That was it.
Okay, I got it. So did it concern you at all that Craig James had signed with SMU also?
No, I didn't care. It didn't make a difference to me. Because, I mean, I was really confident about my talent.
I'm sure you were.
I was confident. I was big and fast. I hadn't played 4A football. He played 2A football. I hadn't played 4A football and all that kind of stuff. And I remember we played the East-West Shrine game, for Texas. And I was MVP. We won 7-6. I scored the only touchdown. So, no, I was not worried about that. And
if I may speak to this myself, I would think at that time, because there were so few white running backs, that you'd say, this white boy from Houston, he can't touch me, so I'm going to be just fine at SMU.
Well, I didn't think about it like that. I just thought, my talent would.
Yeah. Okay. So speaking of your talent, I think I've mentioned this to you before, but your camp opened in August at SMU before your freshman year. Mm-hmm. And I lived pretty close to SMU campus. And Ron Meyer called me at noontime after you were having 2-a-day practices, after your first morning practice. And he said, you have to do this for me. You have to come to our afternoon practice and see this kid, Eric Dickerson, because I don't have a senior who can tackle him. And I said, seriously? I mean, he's that good? He said, it's like nothing you've ever seen before, which I came to agree with. But that's how in awe Ron and his assistant coaches were of you after one morning practice as a freshman. So
I'll tell you a quick story. Matter of fact, my best friend, he played running back, Charles Drayton. He was there, and they had him on the depth chart ahead of me. And he told me, he said, Eric, he said, I'd heard about you. And Seeley said, a guy named Blaine Smith, and he was a year older than me. He said that he would comment, hey man, "You been working out?" He said, because he played running back. He's a running back. He said, "Yeah, they got a guy, that Dickerson kid." He said, "Man." He said, "Man, they trying to recruit him hard." He said, "Oh, he probably a little scat back." He said, "Man, he had 200 yards last night." So he said, he called him the next night. "Man, at Dickerson, he had 250 yards." He said, "Oh, he probably a little scat back, a little, by the way, 5'10".
No.
He tells me the story. He said, so he called again. He said, "Man, he ain't no scat back. He's 6'3", like 250.
I know.
He run track.
Yeah,
He
he
said,
runs
really?
track. That's what's going on.
So
Yeah.
we had that scrimmage, and I'll never forget.
Yeah,
My friend,
because for those who don't get this, with Eric, we were talking 6'3" to what 225 ish.
And now in the pros, I was about 210, 215 in college.
Okay, all right.
And that's why I was tall.
But I don't know. Did you ever time in the 40? Did you ever?
Yeah. I was a 4.3 40 guy. You know,
Okay, 4.3. So
I won state in 100 and 200 in Texas. I think people forget that.
okay.
My junior year, so I could run. That my thing was my speed.
It's ridiculous, that package of gifts from God. You know, those are gifts from above, man.
Right.
And you had all of them, and you ran different. You ran more upright, but you had a glide to you where you could also make people miss with just a subtle sort of change of direction, because you're moving so fast and you're running with such power that nobody's going to hand tackle you, and nobody's going to get you on the ground with a hand. So
No.
that was the package I began to see. And Coach Meyer would always talk about this, but seriously, Craig James was a bit of a blessing for you too, because he kept you a little healthier, because you did have to share care. You know, he took some of the beating that you would have had to take to beat Herschel Walker, you know, to win the Heisman Trophy.
That's true.
Okay, so we get to it was your senior year, because your last 2 years at SMU, for those who have forgotten, you went 21-1-1, but the tie was the killer, because Coach Holtz came in there to Texas Stadium with Arkansas late in the year, and they tied you 17-17, and I was there at the game, and I still can't believe it happened. Coach Holtz was great at pulling off monumental upsets, but it cost you the national championship that year.
If Ron Meyer would have been our head coach,
that's Bobby Collins. Yeah,
that game would have never been that close.
Okay,
and we'd have beat them soundly, just like we did the year before. I mean, it was a coaching. I mean, and I'm not against Bobby Collins.
He was a good guy. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, but there's no way you should have lost that game. And then you went on and beat Dan Marino in his last college game. It was, what was it, 7-3? It was kind of foul weather.
Freezing cold.
Yeah, it was terrible. It was just terrible. But that was the Cotton Bowl. And so you finished second in the country with a tie. So Penn State, I think, came on and won it that year.
Penn State.
Okay. So now let's go fast forward into your rookie year with the Rams. You right away, I always say that running back translates the fastest of any position to pro football. If you're really good, you're going to be really good right away in pro football. And I look back at the numbers you put up as a rookie for the Los Angeles Rams, and the numbers are extraordinary, right? I mean, wouldn't you say that was a great rookie year? I could make a case it was as great as anybody's ever had.
Fantastic. No one's broke that rookie rushing record yet. I had 1,800 yards rushing, 18 rushing touchdowns, 2 receiving. I mean, I think I had 496 yards receiving, something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it was. I mean, I didn't expect that. I got to say. I mean, matter of fact, me and my best friend, we talked about, what kind of year, what would be a good year, and I came up with numbers. He said, okay, see, he looked at Marcus Allen. He said, okay, Marcus had like 1,200 yards. He said, you better Marcus. He said, so you ought to have like 1,400 and maybe like 10 touchdowns. That was my goal. That was my goal right there. I said, if I can have 1,400, like 10 touchdowns. Well, I had 1,800 and I had 20 touchdowns. So, I mean, I surpassed it by a lot. I mean, and thank God. I mean, I got with the right coach. I got with the right coach.
And John Robinson, another guy I knew very well. Right, yeah.
When he got me.
Yet, did you step on the football field in the National Football League? Did you know right away, because you said your senior year you realized how good you were. Did you know right away you were that good in the NFL?
Absolutely not. No.
No?
I was like scared to death. I mean,
Really?
and then the one thing was we went a split backfield first. I didn't like the split back. I never forget it. And I think we scrimmaged the Redskins our rookie year. I think maybe the second game or first or second game. They beat the hell out of us. I think the second they beat the hell out of us. And
Okay.
then when the one back set, and I wasn't starting. I was like on second or third team. And
Okay.
we came in, John Robinson said, hey, we're gonna forget everything we did. We're gonna go to the one back set. Eric and you my back. That's how I started right there.
Okay.
One,
Man.
it was on.
Well, then it was really on in 1984 because you just ran wild on the National Football League. I think you had 12 games of 100 plus. How did your body stand up through 84, through all those 2,105 yards?
Well, I was in good shape, Skip. I wouldn't be the only thing I had a bad toe injury. And I still have the thing in my toe piece I wore. I couldn't have played without it. I had, I think, against like the third game of the year, and I didn't know I was going to get to play. And they came up with this device I had to put in my shoe and taped to my foot. It was called a toe piece, and that enabled me to play. And I went on, and I really didn't didn't have rib injuries, shoulder injuries, nothing like that. I mean, I was pretty injury free.
You were.
I've still never had a surgery to this day. Knock on wood, thank God. Still never had a surgery to this day playing football. But it was tough, because we ran the ball a lot. I mean, I can tell you sometimes I'd walk to the line of scrimmage, even couldn't hardly catch my breath, and we'd be running, we're going to run it again. That's just how it was.
Man. Well, and that led into your 85 season, which was a pretty good team year, but you started out, you held out, right, the first couple of games?
46 days. I came back after we played Seattle Seahawks on the Monday Night Football game. Matter of fact, Kenny easily broke my hand right here on the Monday night game, but I still had 150 and I think 2 touchdowns in that game.
Wow.
With 2 days of practice.
Okay.
I mean, that's why I always say to me, and I'm not boastful. That's not my thing. But I always say that God gave me a talent second to no one. Really, He did, and I used it. And I mean, I had it wasn't a great year because I held out and I missed 4 games.
Yeah. Huh. So 85. You had a new quarterback who came from the Canadian Football League named Dieter Brock, and he tried hard. He wound up throwing 16 touchdowns to 13 interceptions, but he wasn't great. And you guys kind of overachieved thanks to you in 85 because you did make the playoffs. I think you won your division, as I recall.
We did win the division that year.
Okay. And the peak of that year came when my Dallas Cowboys came to Anaheim to play you, or then the Anaheim Rams, obviously. And what do you remember about going for 248 against the Cowboys in that playoff game, still the record in the National Football League for a single playoff game?
The most thing I remember about that football game is they ran the flex defense. And that's where they had the 2 inside, 2 techniques off the ball. And I'm like, because we played them, I think, early in my rookie season. I think we played them on Monday night or something like that.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, and they beat us. But I'm telling you, I mean, I'm like, I was getting chunks of yard. I'm like, they can't react. I'm like, they can't react fast enough. I'm in the line. I'm past the line of scrimmage. And John Robinson said, we're going to run it down their throat with this flex defense. They can't stop us running the football. And he was right. I won't forget that first play after half. I think I went 65 yard touchdown.
You did.
It was just they say everything's working that day.
Yeah,
everything was working that day. And I hate the Cowboys, and I got a chance to see people back in Texas. They had to see the Cowboys get crushed by us. So
yeah,
that was a good day.
So, did you actually grow up hating the Cowboys?
Yes.
Why?
Yes. I didn't. You know why, Skip? I just didn't like that. I don't like them. I don't like arrogance. The Cowboys, to me, that they were the America's team. I couldn't stand that. And that's why I used to like the Steelers. I was a Steeler fan because the Steelers used to beat the Cowboys.
They did.
So I became a Steeler. And my high school colors are black and gold. So
okay.
That was a perfect fit. Matter of fact, my son, he's in 13. He plays for the Steelers right now.
Oh, does he?
Plays for the Steelers right now.
Okay.
I can say this right now. I don't hate the Cowboys as much anymore. I think I hate the 49ers more now. I mean, I didn't like them then, but man, it's so arrogant. My God. They're more arrogant. they're more arrogant than the Cowboy fans, I got to say.
You mean as more of a division rival for the Rams?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay. I got it. So did you take like extra special sort of joy in running, running wild on the Dallas Cowboys because they were the Cowboys? Did that mean more to you?
Most definitely. And me being from Texas, I mean, I'm a Texas boy. I went to SMU right there in Dallas.
You
but
did.
I say this, and I say this much here. There's a lot of great Cowboy players. I mean, I was a fan of Tony Dorsett, Tony Hill, Roger Staubach. I mean, Randy White. I mean, they had some great football players. So, I mean, it wasn't that I didn't knew they had a great football team and they were known, but I didn't like that whole America's team thing.
Yeah, a lot of people.
I'll say this much here. If you play for the Dallas Cowboys still right now in the league, it's a whole different animal. It really is. They're just a different football team. They have a different fan base, and I have to give that up. I mean, I can't fake that. If you play for the Cowboys, that is still the team to play for.
Okay, but you still hate them.
I don't like them. I don't hate them. I hate them.
Okay, I got you. No, I understand. I totally understand. Okay, so the week after that, then you have to go up to Chicago and play Buddy Ryan's 46 defense in the cold, and they somehow held you to 46 total yards rushing, right?
I know.
And how did that happen? How different were this is the 85 Bears we're talking about? You could argue it's the greatest defense ever. You probably think they are the greatest defense ever.
They one of the greatest defenses. I'm serious. Not one of the. They wasn't the defense that gave me a lot of trouble. I like playing against the Bears, believe it or not. We were very successful against them until that day. We didn't have a quarterback. Diddle Brock couldn't complete any passes.
No.
And they stacked the line. I mean, they stacked the line. I'm going to get Richard Dent he said, we played Charlie. He said, Buddy Ryan said, 29 not going to beat us. If they beat us anyway, that's fine, but he's not going to beat us. He said, and so they stacked the line of scrimmage, and 6 can't block 8 and 9. So we couldn't run the football. I want to get Brown run a slant. He was wide open, threw the ball behind him. You can't throw them. Remember, think about it. We played the Cowboys the week before. I think he had like 40 yards passing. He had like 40, 50 yards passing that game. So,
that's all it took. Yep. No, I got it. But would you say the 85 Bears were the greatest ever?
For his defense, yeah. I think they were the greatest defense. Most definitely. They were ferocious. They were physical. They were a team that they should have to reckon with for sure.
Yeah. So you came that was the closest you got to obviously winning a ring in pro football, and you came close with that tie to Arkansas of winning a national championship in college.
Yeah.
How much does that haunt you that you didn't break through in either pro or college football and win it all?
Skip, not at all, really. I think what haunts me the most is college because I know how unfair it was. The pro is different. You have to win those games. In college, it was politics. If we'd have been University of Texas or Oklahoma and we had a tie and we were ranked number 2, there's no way we'd have dropped to number 5 or whatever.
That's probably true.
That would have never happened. And so they did not want us in that game no matter what. And it was just like when TCU got in the national championship game a couple of years ago. Nobody wanted them there. They didn't want them there for sure.
No.
So that's what it's all about. But now the pro football, I wish I'd have won a Super Bowl. I didn't. I don't worry about it. I'm not sad about it. I mean, that's just how it is.
So wrap up your pro career because you went up in Indianapolis, and as I read in your book, which is Watch My Smoke, which I highly recommend people read, there's a lot of racism that you experienced in Indianapolis, right?
Man, wow. I mean, I hadn't seen anything like that ever. And I'm from Texas. Yeah, I'd never seen anything like that before. I'll tell you one quick story is that I was at the end. I wanted to get out of there. I mean, they fired Ron Meyer, and it's funny when you go to a town, you go to a city, and they tell you up front, there's certain towns you can't go to. Anything with a Ville or a Berg, you don't go to those. Don't go to those towns.
Wow.
And that's a problem. And then the first time I ever saw a Klan rally was in Indianapolis. I'd never seen one before on television. I saw a Klan rally on TV downtown off of Meridian Street. So I saw a Klan rally. And then I think the thing that got me the most was that I think it was 1990 or 91. They let someone hang a banner over like the rail, and then a picture of a black baby with 29 with watermelons on one side, stack of money, eating fried chicken with my number on it. And it stayed up there until almost halftime. And I mean, I'm like, I got to get out of here. I mean, to me, that was the last straw. I mean, I won't forget the girl I was dating. We're still friends. A black girl named Holly. She came to me because she was there at the game. When she met me, she was crying. She said, how could you even play with that up there? I mean, I said, that's just part of the deal. So I guess, and I'm gonna say this much, Skip, and look, there's some great fans in Indianapolis. It really is. There's some bad ones back then, and I've never gotten over that. I'm sorry. I don't pull for the Colts. I don't care for the Colts. I just don't. I've never, ever forgotten that. I just never will forget it. And people say, "Oh, get over." There's certain things you don't get over, and I just think that was just so wrong. And I've never, like I said, nothing against Indianapolis. I mean, I say they got some great fans, but I don't want to go back there. Like I always tell them, they could take my name out that stadium because I'm not coming back there. They begged me to come back there for that. Jimmy Irsay was one, and I'm glad because Jimmy was a great guy. SMU guy. Jimmy was a good guy, but if it wasn't for him, I'd have never went back for that. That's
yeah.
it. Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry your career basically had to end there. I know you went on to Atlanta briefly, but that was sad. That was sick. You know.
Yeah, it was. I can tell you, the thing was is that I wanted to go when I got traded with the Rams and do with the Redskins. My cousin was there, Dexter Manley. He called me. I'll never forget. He called me. He said, "Eric, man, I heard we're trying to get you." I said, "Man, I know." He said, "I never get his reply." He said, "Man, they ain't gonna let that happen. That's too much like right." So, and John Shaw admitted it later. He told me. He said, "Eric, I want to send you somewhere you'd be forgotten." And it's funny how time makes you like kind of get over things. When I met with him 20 plus years ago for lunch, and he said, "Eric, I just want to apologize to you." He said, "You were the greatest Ram ever." He says that I should have never traded. Wow. That was my fault. That was my fault. That was my arrogance, and it should have never happened. And you'll always be a Ram to us.
Wow.
So,
beautiful.
That was it. Yep. So that was it.
You can make your summer sizzle with Omaha steaks sizzling out on the grill. Ernestine and I love Omaha steaks. We love sending Omaha steaks for gifts, for Christmas gifts, birthday gifts, for just thank you gifts. We have sent Omaha steaks many, many times, always scoring because we always hear back on the night those steaks or whatever meat has been chosen for the gift. On the night those steaks are on that grill, we always hear from those people about how great Omaha steaks are. I've always believed in them. I think you should too, especially if you're in need of making somebody happy, such as yourself, this summer. You can visit omahasteaks.com, omahasteaks.com for 50% off site-wide during their blazing hot sale, summer sale. This is the time to buy Omaha Steaks. And for an extra $45 off, that's pretty good, you can use the promo code SKIP, just use my first name, SKIP at checkout. Use promo code SKIP at checkout. That's 50% off omahasteaks.com and an extra $45 off just by using promo code SKIP, SKIP, at checkout. Check it out. See site for details. Thank you very much. So, if you step back from your career and you look at all the other great running backs, who would be your favorite all-time running back? Who do you think was the best other than you?
That's easy for me. I mean, everybody has their favorites, but Jim Brown, Walter Payton, Barry Sanders, but my guy was OJ.
Okay.
That's why I played the position. That's why I played that position. 6'3", 220.
He
fast,
was.
like I was.
He was.
Elusive. I mean, for all the other stuff, but Man, that is the reason that I played that position because of him. I used to
Really?
love watching Buffalo Bills.
Oh,
Yes,
wow.
yeah. So that's
Well,
that's my favorite back.
I hear you. I'm with you. I know a lot of people don't even want to hear this because of all the rest of the stuff that happened. But
Yeah,
if you just keep him on the football field, hey, I don't know anything like him except for you. So I think that's a really great choice on your part. And that's
yeah,
interesting that he inspired you.
yep, yep. And I met him. When I met him, I was one of my visits was to USC. First time I flew on a plane that came to Southern California, and I met him on the sidelines. And I walked up to him. I said, "Mr. Simpson," I said, "My name is Eric Dickerson." He said, "Oh, they recruit you?" I said, "Yes, sir." I said, "I had 2,000 yards in high school this year and then the year before, and I want to break your record one day." I'll never forget. He said, "Well, good luck with that, young man."
Good luck with that. Exactly.
So, it's funny how times are, how things work out.
So who do you like today? Who's the best to you today? I know Saquon made a great run at your record last year, and yet he was short of your record in the same number of games, in 16 games, and then he didn't play in the 17th game, obviously. Or he would have had a shot. What do you need? 101 to break?
100,
Yeah.
yeah.
100 to tie, 101 to break. And I was surprised. I thought they would give him a shot. Were you surprised he didn't go?
I was surprised. I mean, I thought they'd give
Yeah.
him a shot. I mean, honestly, they should have, I think. But I'll say this much here, Skip. People ask me, I said, look, the most important thing is a Super Bowl. I'd take that record away to win a Super Bowl. I mean, because you can't just play him. You have to play everybody. And let's just say, lo and behold, you say your right tackle got hurt, or he
Yeah,
got
no.
hurt. And
Yep.
people are like, what the hell? Why are they playing him for a record?
Yep.
So
Yep.
I wholeheartedly get it 100%. But my guys, I mean, I like Derrick Henry because he's a big back like me. I mean, I like big backs. I do like Saquon. I mean, I've always said this about Saquon Barkley. When he was at the Giants, I said it's sad because when he got drafted, I said it's sad because he will never reach his full potential playing for the New York Giants. Now he's on a football team
He
that
is.
he can reach his full potential. Because I don't care how great you are, if you don't have the guys up front, it ain't gonna work. I mean, I can tell you in Indianapolis, when I didn't have those guys up front,
Yeah.
man, it is horrible. I'm telling you from experience because
Yep.
on the other side, those guys are trying to hit you.
Yep. I hear you. Okay, so wrap it up for me. You are, as I call you, the Rambassador. You are the number one spokesman for the Los Angeles Rams. That a lot of people are bullish on them. They've become sort of a hot pick. Do you love their chances this year? Do you like their chances?
Well, Skip, I'll say this much here: the last 2 years, I didn't think much of them. I mean, I won't forget, not this past year, but the year before when Aaron's this last year he played. I said, Aaron, how y'all gonna be? What kind he said? We're gonna be pretty good. I said, man, I don't see it, man. I just told him I didn't know anybody. I said, I don't see it. He's like, I'm telling you, I think we're pretty good. We're a young team, we're pretty good. And sure enough, I think they won 10 games that year. And then last year, once again, I think they surprised everybody. Started off very slow, I think 1-4. Didn't play well at first and got hot at the end. I like some of the picks, some of the things that they've done. For it. I don't like them getting rid of Cooper Kupp. I thought that was a bad deal. The receiver, what's his name? The receiver we just acquired.
Devontae Adams.
Devontae
Yeah.
Adams. I think, I always see, you got to see how it works out. You got to see how it works. Puka Nacua, I mean, he is what he is. I mean, he's what he is. I think as a quarterback with Matt Stafford, Matt is an older journeyman, but if we can keep him upright and keep him healthy, I think we have a shot.
Okay.
The defense looks very good. I got to give Sean McVay and his staff credit. The thing I do like about Sean McVay is that you don't hear a lot of stuff come out of the Rams camp, especially from the players. Like if something goes, you don't hear that. Same way as Belichick was that same thing in New England. But as a team, they're a close-knit team. I think that now this year, I'm expecting bigger things from them because of last year, I really am. So I think we'll be good. I think we could win the division, but you got to stay healthy, Skip. You know as well as I do. If you're not healthy, you can't do anything. I mean, I don't care what kind of team you got because that second string guy and that third string guy, that's why they don't second and third string because they're not the first string guys. So if we can stay healthy, I think we'll win the division. I think we'll have a shot at a run for another Super Bowl.
Okay.
That's my thought. And you know me, I'm not no butt ass kisser or nothing like that, because I'm telling you, the last 2 years, last year I said 5 games. I said the
Yeah.
year before, I said 3. Yeah. I said, man, I don't see maybe 3 wins. And they proved me wrong. And I'm glad they proved me wrong. So let me ask you, what do you think? What do you think?
I just can't believe Matt Stafford is still playing, but and I think there was they let him shop and go out and see if he could find something else. But I think McVay thinks he's got maybe one last hurrah left in that body. And to your point, you got to completely protect him. You can't, you got to keep him out of harm's way. But hey, he can still spin it with anybody. He's been one of the great throwers in the history of the game. And with Devontae and Puka, I think they're pretty good. I looked at their defense right before we jumped on here, and I just don't know many of them. They're a no-name defense, but everybody thinks they're pretty good.
Yeah.
And I don't know one guy. There's nobody I can hang my hat on and say, well, he's a stud. I don't see any studs, but I think the group is pretty good. So
yeah, they play well as a group. Like I said, I think that Sean McVay has done a great job coaching these guys. I think they love playing together. You talk to them, they love playing together. And that's what it's all about, man. I got to say, as a former player, you don't listen to the outside noise. You listen to music because you know what's going on internally. And I think that this football team, they know what's going on internally. And, like I said, if they can stay healthy, they'll do some good things. One thing, I was shocked. I really thought, okay, since Matt Stafford is that guy, he's getting older, and the draft is going, why didn't we take Shador? Why?
I don't know why a whole bunch of people didn't take Shador. I don't know. I don't know.
We need a quarterback.
Yeah.
I'm like, just take him. If it don't work, fine.
Perfect. Beautiful. It would have been perfect. I agree.
I did not understand that. I thought I'm saying, okay, we'll take it. And then we're like, what? Hey,
well,
it is what it is.
You had 4 rounds to take him because he went in the 5th.
That's what I'm saying. That was amazing. And the thing is, that's like saying you need a running back, but here is Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley sitting out here and you pass. It's like the Cowboys passing on Derrick Henry.
They did.
Yeah, I'm like, that didn't make sense. And you need a running back.
We still need one. I think we're going to be a little better than we were a year ago. Obviously, if Dak can stay healthy. But when I'm talking to Eric Dickerson about running backs, and I'm looking at Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders and the kid they drafted out of Texas, Jaden Blue, and I'm saying, I feel like you right now, you could walk into that running back room and be the best back that we have right here, right now.
Okay,
seriously.
But that's about, hey, let me tell you, there ain't no 60-year running backs out there. So that's just on paper.
God. So, hey, I appreciate your time and your wisdom and just being able to know you. So, great luck to you. I hope your body's still holding up, and I'll be in touch.
Okay, Skip. Thanks. Good seeing you, Skip. Thanks a lot. Take care.